Welcome to Getting Real with Whitney and Wallace. I'm Whitney Van, a former television news anchor of 30 years, and now I have decided to live my life by design, and I'm in real estate.
I'm Wallace Myers. I'm a former high school student who got into real estate at the age of 18, and now our team sells hundreds of homes a year, and we've also made every mistake in the book. We're here to help you be the best agent you can be.
Absolutely. Avoid the pitfalls and some secrets of success. So thanks for tuning in to this edition. We get real with Aaron today. I'm Whitney Van with Wallace Myers. And Wallace, tell us about Aaron.
Yeah, Whitney, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Aaron Hurd. So Aaron and I have been friends for quite some time, and he's one of the most humble guys I know. I knew him for years before knowing about some of the accomplishments that this guy's made. So when I think of Aaron, I think of action and implementation and results, right? There's a lot of us in the industry that do a lot of talking and no action. To give you a little backstory on Aaron, he's one of the OGs, one of the original guys to do expansion at a high level. Back in the early 2010s, he expanded a real estate team to 96 locations.
Oh my goodness.
Before doing that, you think that's impressive alone. Before doing that, he was a buyer's agent working exclusive with buyers in the real estate industry and selling over 100 buyers a year. Whenever I know a lot of real estate agents have trouble just working with a couple buyers at a time, right? And currently, Aaron is CEO of a real estate team. He's a partner of mine and expanding again. And he holds one of the highest roles in coaching in the country as an executive maps coach for Gary Keller. Very high honor, coaches some of the top real estate agents in the nation and arguably the world. And while there's so much to talk about, Whitney, one of the main things I felt like our viewers would get the most out of today is learning a little bit more about Aaron's experience working with the buyers, how he worked that process, and how he was able to manage his time and all those other things, right? So Aaron, why don't you share with us a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. So yeah, like you said, I mean, I sold a lot of buyers' houses, and the primary role that I carried in that was being a conduit of, from when they started their search, when they started just showing interest in real estate with a little twinkle in their eye, stepping into their world and being a consultant and an advocate for them achieving their goals. And I'd sit down with them one-on-one, and we had a very purposeful, what we like to call a strategy session, right? Or a consultative interview, Wallace. And we would sit down with these individuals and just basically say, what are your goals? Here's what's happening in the marketplace. And ask 100,000 questions to ensure that we can meet them where they are and match them up with what they want in the marketplace.
One of the things I was going to ask you, Aaron, is you're talking about how you would meet with these buyers. And a lot of agents, there's so many agents out there that as soon as a buyer calls them, they just go into, well, let me just get you to the house, right? So you're saying that you would have a consultation with them, go through the process, help them understand everything as far as the real estate industry, what's currently going on in the market, those sort of things. What conversation did you have with these potential buyers so they'd be like, okay, I'm willing to meet with you. I don't know you. I'm willing to meet with you, even though 10 other agents said I didn't need to meet with them to just go see the house.
So first of all, just going and showing a property, you don't know what they want. They don't know what they want a lot of times. And the reality is you don't know what kind of client they are, if you should even be working with them. So I was very much, very conscious of my time, Wallace. And so I would say, look, I'd love to show you that property. And before we can go and tour that home, there's a handful of things that we need to address prior to. Can you meet me at my office at this time, or would this time be better, so we can take care of a few things and then we'll go out and go look at that property? Now, a lot of people would push back a little bit and be like, no, we can't. We just show us the property. Then that's where we have to get really skilled in what's really important to them about right now, that one property. If that property wasn't the best deal, they would want me to show them the best deal, right? Of course you would. Now, I want to make sure you know all your options, because getting a great deal is important to you, isn't it? And they say, yeah, of course. Then naturally you want to meet with me first so I can ensure you get the best deal. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, fine. So then we're going to schedule a time to meet at my office. We sit down, we have the standard operating procedure. I was taught early on in my career that, it's our business. So we get to choose who we get to work with. When you only have one client, it's kind of challenging to say no. Though, when you think in abundance and you say, look, this is how I'm going to operate my business. Every single person that I'm going to choose to work with is going to sit down with me. We're going to have a very in-depth personal conversation around what their wants, needs, and goals are. And we are going to come to terms on how we're going to work with each other so we have a really good experience overall. And it's just, I drew a line in the sand. I know you want to look at that property, Wallace. I want to show you that property. And just like if you were to go to the dentist, you can't just walk in and see the dentist. You have to sit and fill out the forms that you filled out the same time before and the same time before. And every single time you go, this is the same thing here. We have a process in place to help you achieve your goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And it obviously worked. I mean, I don't know many other people that have sold over 100 buyers in a year consistently. So that's very impressive. So let's talk about getting those buyers. So what activities did you do on a daily, weekly basis to, did you just show up and you had everybody calling you, or what did that look like?
No, I wish. We all wish, right? That's like anyways. The way we did this, we had a massive action campaign that was pretty much targeted on Craigslist to say, hey, come to my website and look at houses for sale, or look at this house for sale on my website to see more photos. And people would come, click, and then need to provide their information to see more photos. Well, we got really, really good around putting that out there at a high level. So we would generate a large amount of what we consider to be looky-loos. A lot of people online just looking at houses. This is Craigslist. So it's not like the highest quality, lead source. And you know what? It worked brilliantly because we caught them so early in their process. They were in their pajamas at night scrolling online and they're like, I want to look at more photos. And they did. And then what I would do is I would smile and dial. Say, hey, I saw you were on my website looking at houses for sale. How soon do you need to buy a home? No, oh, no. I was just looking. That's so fun. I'm so grateful you're in the research phase. Sounds like we should meet. Would afternoons or evenings be best for you to meet with me? Well, no, we're not. We don't want to waste your time, right? Like they would just keep going, and so would I.
I love that. And so you were on a team at that time, and let's kind of get a time frame on this. Was this early 2010s? When was this about around? Like, are you suggesting everyone go do Craigslist now, or maybe just depends?
Yeah. Well, look, if you're not doing anything, do something. So yeah, Craigslist could be a very viable source for you. So could for sale by owner. So could expireds as buyer leads, like very prominently. Though choose one and go for it. Sphere of influence is incredible too. I mean, call your friends and family, ask them for business. This was 2012, 2013, 2014. And then we moved into a leadership phase where I was coaching and leading other people and ultimately going out and growing one of the largest expansion teams in the country today.
Aaron, in today's market, I love that Craigslist worked at a really high level. What in this market in 2023 are you finding is most effective?
Well, we utilize a lot heavily on Google, PPC, so pay-per-click leads through Google. And then also social media. So driving traffic from your social media into your lead capture site, whatever that might be. You have to have a website that forces people to communicate with you on your website. If you don't, this is like the 23rd century here. So like get with the times. Got to get technology.
And Aaron, let's just reiterate, you coach some of the top agents in the country. And what are you finding, having so many conversations on a weekly basis? What are you finding is, the market's different than it was maybe a year ago. So what are you finding still working? What's not working as well? Where are you seeing the biggest results? Just share a little bit of insight on that for us.
Okay. It's also a little bit embarrassing for me to talk about my numbers when I coach people that have blown my numbers out of the water, you guys. Like I coach a buyer's agent today that sold 232 units last year as a buyer's agent. Talk about a big business. And she's an amazing human being as well. And she's created a Facebook group, Buyer Agent Mastery. if you want to send your friends and family over there to check it out and learn more from an amazing, amazing buyer specialist. And the things that are working yesterday aren't working the same as they were today. The things that haven't shifted, like Facebook and Google, it still works. The people that move to those websites and register and show interest in a product, it still works. People still convert, but not at the conversion metric or the speed in which they have been previously converting at. The things that haven't shifted is your phone calls and face-to-face relationships. Those activities have not changed. The conversion metrics that we've been tracking, when you look at, I talked to this many people, I still am scheduling this many consultative interview appointments or getting this many referrals versus I spend this money, I drive this many leads, which used to convert at this level, but now is converting at this level in right now business. Right. So the ad dollars, the leverageable activities are still viable. They still work. Print media, postcards, door knocking, all that stuff still works. But the things that haven't shifted or adjusted yet in our marketplace, hello, hi, how are you? That hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, that really goes a lot into some of our previous videos where we talked about loving on your sphere, having raving fans. One of the videos we shot earlier this week, which was on relationships. It's incredibly important in this business, and it's just getting consistent in that level. So, all right. So just kind of wrap this up, Aaron. We've got some new agents watching. They've heard a lot of different things, right? You talked about all these different ways that they can go and get business. And one of the biggest things I know is agents get distracted by shiny things and they don't finish what they start. What would be some advice you'd give to some of those agents out there so they can kind of just have a direction to kind of start with and make their focus?
I'd say if you're brand new and you're just starting, start with your sphere of influence. I mean, most people brand new and just starting have more time than they have money, right? Let's be real.
And Aaron, I'm going to stop you right there for a second because I agree with that same thing you just said. And I grew very rapidly at 18 years old doing that exact same thing. And there's a lot of people out there that say, don't start with your sphere of influence first and I guess maybe does that just mean that they're not having the right people around them on how to have those conversations, or what is the reason behind that?
It could be that. It also could be some scarcity, Wallace. I mean, historically, over the past several years, the market has created such a sense of urgency in the marketplace that the buyers and sellers in the market didn't have time to choose who they're going to use. And so they kind of just selected who was in front of them like this, and they made very rapid decisions. And so sphere of influence, they may not know a tremendous group of people and you may not get in front of them fast enough. So you start hearing things like, oh, my cousin just bought, or my friend, my coworker just listed. Dang it. I wish I would have thought of you. I'm sorry. That was a small window of time. And so in that moment of time, it's like, look, you have to get in front of the people faster. So the relationships are important. You might spend some time investing in ad creations that are getting hand raisers, or spending more time calling people like for sale by owners that are actively in the market that are saying, I want to sell my home, but they just haven't raised the hand saying, and I want to pay somebody to help me do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have to be really proactive to get in front of them because they are going to sell their property. They are going to buy a home with or without you.
Aaron, can I ask you a question? Something that I've heard this week, and I'd like to know if you've heard it in your sphere. I've heard that a lot of people who bought during the pandemic are not that happy with their purchase. That the number of people who want to sell the home that they bought, and you said because so many times people had to do it in a rush job, that you would be surprised, and it's worth calling and checking back in with them, even if you didn't sell them the house.
Yeah, that's right. I actually recently heard similar things that I heard a study was conducted that said about 65% of people that purchased during the pandemic over the past couple of years are unsatisfied with their purchase and would move up and change if they could financially do it and it wasn't impacted in a negative way. So, interest rates are different today. Housing prices haven't gone down in most areas, so they're still more expensive. though they do have a sizable equity increase. So the down payments are available. So it's like, there's a lot of people out there that are just not thrilled. Does that mean that they're willing to go back on the market and make it happen? Not necessarily, but I bet you if there was an opportunity for them to make a transition and you could help them go from point A to point B in an effortless and painless way, you're going to get business from them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I know there is a lot of people that purchased because there was nothing hardly on the market. They just kind of had to settle, basically. So yeah. I can totally see that.
Hey, I mean, we've seen people pay or offer to pay kids college tuitions or pay I'm not kidding, hundreds of thousands of dollars over. I mean, I'm here in the Portland, Oregon market, and with the average price of $550, people are buying for $750 like that.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
You're such a wealth of knowledge, Aaron. It's shocking all that you do and that you coach others. And an expansion team, I know, is something that a lot of the top agents have thought about. It just seems too big. So, hey, can we invite you back another time and let's talk about steps 1 through 5 of if you want to start an expansion team and what that looks like?
Oh, it'd be my pleasure, Whitney. I think there's a lot of people that would benefit from understanding what that looks like. And if anybody wants to reach out as well, you can go to realtorpropertygroup.com, visit us, connect with us, and I'm only a few clicks away. You can get a hold of us. It's our pleasure.
Love it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Aaron. Bye.